so glad that you guys are here. Wow, Kitty is also really excited for Vlogmas, aren't you? She's like, no, let me down. I'm out of here. This package is a huge part of your new salary and your new position. And so I wanted to encourage you guys in your first STEM position to take time to read through your full benefits package, because they'll hand it to you and they'll hand you the W-2 forms and all these forms to fill out, and if you've never seen them before you might go, I don't know what to do. So I've actually been wanting to make a video on exactly how to go through this for first-time employees, but here for the STEM advice for today I wanted to cover a little bit about investing into your 401k, and then on the side investing into a Roth IRA. So your 401k is a benefit provided by the employer for full-time employees, and basically you can choose to funnel some of your salary into your 401k investment vehicle, and whenever money moves from what you're making into this vehicle, it's moving in tax-free. So when you go to do your taxes the following year, instead of the government thinking that you've made this much money that previous year, they will only see that you've made this much money. And that's intentional. So it's basically it's a pre-tax engine. So you make the money, you don't get taxed on it, you're able to put it away for retirement. It's to encourage people to save for retirement. So you'll get taxed if you are able to funnel enough pre-tax money away into these other investment vehicles. You could technically be taxed at a lower tax bracket than if you hadn't. So yearly, I think what you're allowed to do is put $18.5 thousand into a 401k. So you're going to put money into this 401k, and if it drops you into the lower bucket, which they've changed this year where the buckets are because of the new tax code in 2018, but if it drops you into the lower bucket, instead of being charged at 28%, you'll be charged at 25%. And I don't actually know those percentages, and I should have looked them up before this. But there's different buckets of what salary you have to be at for percentage that you get taxed at. So if you can drop yourself into the lower bucket, that just means you're paying less taxes, which is, for us STEM people, it's problem solving, right? Figuring out how to do your taxes and how to be savvy about saving money and funneling money into your retirement plan. So the other part of the 401k that is something that is very important and also very nice is that your companies, depending on your benefits package, will also contribute to your 401k. And typically they contribute at a match, so they'll match up to 6%. So if you're funneling $18.5 thousand into your 401k, 6% of that your company is also going to give you on the side, just as free money for the benefit. And that's really awesome. That's free money. So if you're only funneling away $10,000, you're only getting 6% of $10,000, whereas you could be getting 6% of the $18.5 thousand. So if it makes sense for you to funnel away the full 18.5, I highly recommend to do it, because otherwise you're just leaving money that your employer would have given you on the table. So if it makes sense, funnel away the full amount into your 401k. And as a young person, what I do is I choose to vest it in the most riskiest way. So what I mean by this is I have money pulled out of my paycheck. It goes into my 401k account, which sits at a big company like Fidelity or Vanguard or Wells Fargo. And so then I have to go into that account and invest it. So I have to choose, okay, I've got this pot of money sitting here. What stocks do I want it to be in? And the easiest way is to put it in a mutual fund or an ETF. I would recommend the ETFs over the mutual funds because it's in a 401k engine. And I pick a target fund. So the target funds are something that a stockbroker has chosen which companies have stocks that's in that fund. Okay, so let's talk about vesting it and what is risk. So for a young person, they say you should have about 90% of your investments in stocks and 10% in bonds, which are a little bit safer. And then as you get older, you have less in stocks and more in bonds. So the more stocks you have, the riskier it is than a bond. So when you go to choose how you want to vest it, what sort of funds you want it in, what sort of stocks. You can pick a package of stocks and bonds that have been pre-chosen by the stockbrokers. And typically there'll be target funds, which you can choose for your 401k, or you can put any money in it in any different vehicle. So the funds, a lot of times they'll have a year associated with it. So it'll say retirement fund 2060 or target year 2060. And that's the risk level of somebody who would want to retire in 2060. So for me, regardless of when I want to retire, I choose the year that is furthest out. So I think they've got up to 2080 right now in Fidelity. And no, maybe 2060 is the furthest year out. And so I choose that knowing that it's going to be more risky, it's going to have more stocks in it and less bonds, which is what I want, because I'm willing to accept a little bit more risk in order to have a little bit more gain in that account. So go in and choose what type of target fund or ETF you want to invest your 401k in. And you can invest it in a bunch of different investments. So let's say you have $40,000, you can put $20,000 in a target fund 2060 and $20,000 in a target fund 2030, which is a lot more safe or secure of a fund. It's less risky. So I do that with my 401k. I put it in a risky fund. I just let it sit. I think of it as extra money on the side that I never look at. So knowing that a lot of my peers don't even have 401ks yet and they're not investing, to me it's just extra money that I've got on the side that other people haven't even started thinking about. And then when it comes to my other investment vehicle, so I've got my 401k, which is pre-tax, it comes out of my paycheck, and I have it go into this riskiest target fund, which, let's be honest, target funds are pretty safe. They basically follow the stock market anyway. So the riskiest of the safe target funds is where I put my 401k. Then I also contribute after tax to a Roth IRA. Now, it gets confusing because some companies offer a Roth 401k, so it acts like a Roth, but it's pre-taxed like a 401k. My company does not offer that. So what I've got is my 401k that is offered through my company's plan and has to sit in whatever investment banking firm that my company has chosen. And then I've got a Roth IRA, which sits in a different account, which I keep at Vanguard because I really like Vanguard, and I think their staff is really awesome when you call in and talk to them, and they're super helpful. So I'll release later how I use Vanguard, and I've done a lot of searching and pulling up guidelines myself. So every time I go to get a new stock, I look through my guidelines. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to remember to look for this, I need to remember to compare this and look at that. And so I've got tons of notes about this, which I can release with you guys if you're interested. I've also got spreadsheets that I've made to help track this stuff, which is easy if you have your Roth and your 401k and all of your brokerage accounts in one firm, because you can just use their internal statistics. But when you have it across different companies, you will need something like a mint.com or your own spreadsheets to track what your balance is across all these different companies. So then you'll be able to see how many stocks you have versus how many bonds you have. If your stocks are in medium cap or large cap, so which is basically how big the companies are that the stocks are in. Large cap being the bigger companies like Google and Facebook and Microsoft, medium cap being a little bit smaller cap companies. And typically the larger the company, the less risk. Smaller company has more volatility. So I will release some of my Vanguard stuff if you guys want to see it. But I keep a Roth IRA on the side, and the Roth is another retirement vehicle, which is actually really awesome. So you do pay tax on it, so you can have it come straight out of your paycheck, or because you're paying tax on it no matter what. The first day of the year, January 1st, I put in my Roth the total amount that you can put in a year. So for a single person, you can put in $5,500 a year. So I have a Roth where I put in $5,500 every January 1st, and then I go in and I vest it. And I vest it The same way I kind of do my 401k, so I invested in things that are a little bit more risky, but basically follows the stock market. What I don't do is I don't choose individual companies, so I don't put it in Google. I'll put it in an ETF that is all large cap, which will have Google in it, and it has Microsoft, and it has, you know, Facebook and all the other big companies. It has tech companies, real estate companies, pharmaceutical companies, renewable energy companies. You can also do what they call impact investing, and finding different stocks, different packages of ETFs that have been put together that have companies which value the same things that you value. So if you don't want to put your money in any oil companies and you only want them in renewable energy, you could impact invest and find a package that is all different sorts of renewable energies. Or you can find a package that specifically doesn't include oil companies, which I think Fidelity has a bunch of packages like that are specifically without oil companies in them. That's for us millennials who like to impact invest. So my 401k and my Roth, I tend to do, my 401k I put in a target fund just because that's easy and I don't think about my 401k like ever. My Roth I put in, I tend to do a good balance of like mid cap to small cap, growth potential versus dividends. So ones that the companies will grow a lot and the stock value will go up, versus companies that every time the stock value goes up, they pay out dividends. And so the stock value stays about the same, but every month you end up getting like $25 that are added to it. So every time I open up like my finances, I'm like, oh, I got a dividend payment of $25 just for having money sit there and do nothing. And then I have it automatically reinvest itself. So every time I get a dividend payout, it just buys more stocks in that same investment vehicle. So it reinvests itself is what they call it. So that's how I do my Roth and my 401k. And the Roth is awesome because you can access your Roth later. So your 401k, you basically can't touch it. Your Roth, there are specific reasons that you can pull it out that are pre-retirement. And actually, you might be able to pull it out for any reason. I would have to look up the rules on it. But let's say you wanted a down payment on your house. So instead of just collecting money in your bank account, collect money in your Roth, let it start to grow in that investment vehicle, and then when you want to go put the down payment on your house, pull it out of your Roth to pay for your down payment. Which of course is a little bit more paperwork and moving money around and talking to the people at your investment company than if it was just like sitting in a bank account, but it's a lot safer and it's actually growing with the economy instead of being stagnant while the time value of money is increasing. So while inflation is going up at 3% or 1% or whatever it does. So the Roth is really awesome because you can put money into it, you can take it out, and because you can put because you don't pay capital gains on it, which is something that I've been learning this year about capital gains and locking in capital gains and capital losses, which I can talk your ear off about if you wanted to know about that. But basically, at the end of the year, you're going to get a form that is filled out by the company, and it's submitted to the IRS that says what you made money on and what you lost money on. So they call it the cost basis. So if you put $10,000 into this investment and it went up to $12,000 that year, on a regular account, what they call a brokerage account, you would be paying tax on $2,000 of income. Because even though you weren't working to produce it, your money was working for you, and it made that $2,000. But if it's in a Roth, it's protected. So you do not have to pay taxes on what is in that account if it's in a Roth. So it's growing tax-free, which is awesome. So once you got your 401k maxed out, and actually what I've done before is I've maxed out my Roth before I maxed out my 401k. And I don't quite know why I did that. A financial advisor had told me to do it, which is why I did it. But you would probably want to talk to your own financial advisor, which you might also get that benefit through your work, is that you get free financial advising, or you get 1 hour of counseling for financial stuff. And so you can ask in that hour of counseling, hey, what do I do with these finances? Which is kind of a cool benefit that some companies do and some companies don't. So check in and see if your company will pay for your financial advisor. and they'll be third parties, so they'll have nothing to do with your company, and they'll probably only be allowed to work with you for like an hour unless you paid them more on the side. And I tend to go for hourly consulting anyway for my finances. I've got a really awesome lady that I work with in Austin who is a fiduciary, so she's working in my interest, and she's not making any income off the percentages of my assets. I basically pay her per hour, not per percentage of my assets, which is how I think it all should be done, but people are sleazy about money, it turns out. So anyway, that was a tangent. Yeah, you fill out your Roth, it's going to grow tax-free. Fill out your 401k, it's pre-tax and it grows tax-free. Your Roth, get an HSA if you can, a health savings account, which is triple tax-free. So you can put things into your savings account, your health savings account, pre-tax, it will grow tax-free, and then when you pull it out, after you hit like age 60 or whenever they allow you to touch what's in your HSA, that's also tax-free. So it's so much tax-free stuff. So yeah, if you can do an HSA, do an HSA. If you're a young person and you're not like paying for kids' braces, don't even bother looking into the FSA. Maybe I'll just do how to look at your benefits now. So I have my HSA, which I keep some of it liquid because I use it to pay for health things. So anytime I go to see a doctor and I need to pay copay, I give them the credit card or the debit card that is associated with my HSA. So I pay for those services tax-free. But then anything extra that's in that account that I don't think I will need liquid to pay for health services that year, I vest so that it is growing with the stock market and growing with inflation. And I tend to put that in a pretty safe fund as well, just because it's my HSA. And your HSA, there are specific reasons that you could go in and pull things out if you wanted to use it for something. But generally, that money, once it's in your HSA, you gotta leave it in your HSA or pay a penalty to bring it out. So it's another thing you have to do some problem solving and some analytics on to see if it makes sense for you to pull money out of your HSA if you're paying for a down payment on a house, which I think is a reason you can touch your HSA. If you're a first-time home buyer and you need a down payment, you can pull it out of your HSA. I don't know if they will require you to pay taxes on it or not if you're pulling it out for a non-health reason, but you would have to look into that. And it also might be dependent on which state you live in. I'm not really sure. So maybe I will cut this short here because that's a lot of money talk. But my advice today is to invest what you can in what makes sense. Figure out how much you can put into your 401k. Get the money that your employer is also going to put in your 401k by your match. Figure out what you can put in your Roth IRA, which is going to grow with the stock market, and it's going to grow tax-free. Figure out what you can put into your health savings account, which is going to be triple tax-free, and you can use it for healthcare stuff that you need money for. And then if you have extra money on the side, figure out what to do with it then. Does it make sense to put it in a brokerage account or to put it in as another down payment on your house? Which is a question that I asked my financial advisor, and they said, well, your mortgage interest is super low, and you can make way more money by putting it in the stock market. So I put it in the stock market. If the stock market goes down, I will then have capital losses. But if it goes up, I'll be paying tax on it. But even how much it goes up and me paying tax on it is still probably better than me putting in an extra house payment. So yeah, that's my advice for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a lot of financial information, and I think in the future, probably sometime in 2019, I'll upload a video about how to choose these stocks, or more how I choose the stocks, since I'm not really an advisor. I'm just an engineer, a math person, and I'll probably do some graphics and stuff on the side so that you can see exactly what I'm doing and what I'm choosing and what I'm looking at, and it's not just me talking at you about finances for 20 minutes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you're enjoying Vlogmas. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you have other things that you want me to give advice for new or almost new professionals in STEM, let me know, and I will talk about it in another Vlogmas video. And with that, I will see you guys next time. Bye!